Where did you study music and with whom?
I studied music in Germany. I had a private teacher when I was 5 in Stuttgart, where I was born and raised. And then I went on to have lessons with a German violinist, Christoph Poppen, who used to be the first violin of the Cherubini Quartet, and then later he started to conduct, so now he's a conductor. And I studied in Detmold, which is a tiny little town near Hanover in the north of Germany.
Have you won any competition or prize? Violin prize?
Yes, I have. I won a competition when I was 15, and a competition actually called Leopold Mozart. So that fits very well to the Mozart Festival in Bogota. And of course, there was a lot of Mozart repertoire to play. So that was my very first winning of an international solo violin competition. And later, I also won the Paganini competition in Genoa.
Speaking about repertoire, are you specialized in any repertoire?
Actually, I think that the violin repertoire is so vast and so huge and so wonderful and so varied that I would not want to be really specialized in anything, but I try to, be able to play everything that is of wonderful and exceptional quality. So that can be Baroque music, that can be contemporary music, that can be Mozart, but it can also be Ligeti. Anything that is really fantastic for the violin, I try to actually take advantage of and learn it and propose it in the programs.
Could you tell me something about the great conductors or soloists you have played with?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I work with a lot of wonderful and very interesting and very inspiring colleagues of mine. Of course, my very long piano partner, Alexander Melnikov, is a very important musician for me. Talking about conductors, I have been very much influenced by Claudio Abbado in the late years. I was very lucky to meet him, I think 6 or 7 years ago, and he asked me for several concerts and also CD recordings, so I got quite close, and that was a very, very special experience. Otherwise, I've also very much appreciated the work with several historically performing conductors and ensembles, like, for example, Franz Bruggen, who unfortunately died recently. He was a wonderful, wonderful, and very special musician. At the moment, I'm working with another conductor and a wonderful historical group, Giovanni Antonini, and his Giardino Armonico. So there's a lot of wonderful and interesting, and not only super famous, but a lot of really wonderful musicians I'm lucky to work with.
Is there any concert that you remember especially the most significant in your life?
Oh, I remember some concerts when I was really young. I started to play in a children's string quartet when I was 11 years old. And those were my first concerts ever, actually, when we started to play for little competitions, and then we had concerts as a prize winner. I remember we took second prize in an international youth competition, and we could go to Prague with all the other prize winners, and we played in the famous concert hall in Prague, and that was my first very important concert hall and very important concert, and that was absolutely, I will never forget this moment, of course. More recently, the last concert, which was really very, very intense and very exceptional because of the reason of this concert, was the memorial concert for Claudio Abbado in Lucerne with Berg Violin Concerto and the Lucerne Festival Orchestra. and that was 1 year ago in April, and everybody on stage knew Claudio Abbado very well, of course, in Lucerne, and everybody was kind of in tears actually coming off stage. So that was a very, very, very difficult concert to play, and also a very strong experience.
Why is Mozart one of the great composers of the history?
You know, the greatest miracles in the world, there's no explanation for. So that's always difficult to answer these kind of questions, because actually I think Mozart is so fantastic because we don't know how to explain what he's actually doing so special. Because if you look, I think the best you can explain it with is if you look into the other composers at the same time who actually tried to write music like Mozart or similar, and who followed all the rules beautifully, but it will never sound like one note of Mozart. So Mozart has just the speciality to render the most simple of all melodies as a little magic moment, and it's also very, very obvious when you, for example, try to write a cadenza for the Mozart violin concertos. So because we don't have the original Mozart cadenzas, so the interpreter, the violinist, has to try and write one or improvise one himself. So that's always a very interesting moment when you look at Mozart cadenzas he wrote for piano, and you try to do exactly the same, and you think, well, it could not be so difficult, but it will never come anything close to what Mozart could do, because he just had that special touch with all the simplicity to make it magic. And I think only geniuses could do this kind of thing, and that's why Mozart is so absolutely special. And also his talent of putting into a very, very apparently happy melody something extremely sad at the same time. I think that's something very typical for Mozart, and yeah, it's a miracle, and miracles are not to be explained.
3 words to describe him.
Simple, always extremely emotional, and always extremely humorous and theatralic. Actually, all his pieces, I think, are to be seen as an opera.
You are going to play the Violin Concerto No. 4 with Staatskapelle Halle and Giuseppe Caballé. Could you tell something about this concerto?
Well, it's interesting. I just did all the five original, or for sure original Mozart concerti in one evening, actually, in Salzburg in the Mozarteum, which was a very long concert and an interesting thing to do. I had never done this before, and I did it with Giardino and Giovanni Antonini. And it's interesting to do all five concerti or to work on all of them at the same time, because then you see really that each concerto has his own character and his very different way of writing. Because if you just listen to one here and another one in another occasion, you might not be so much confronted with the details and with the particular characters of the concerti. So that was actually for me an occasion to find out how each concerto is different from the other. And I think the D major 218 is one of the most outspoken. It's a very maestoso piece. The beginning is very much this almost trumpet fanfare, horns and trumpets together, I imagine, although of course the trumpets don't play. But it's a very majestic and very sparkling, very clear, and actually very happy concerto, but also one of the big ones. And yeah, I think majestic is the best way to describe it.
And have you played with this orchestra and with this conductor before?
Actually, no, I haven't played with the orchestra, and I don't think I have played. Actually, let me see. We have to cut this, maybe. Can you cut or not? No.
Yes. No,
Yes.
but I think you haven't.
Actually,
You haven't. I asked him, and
I
he said
haven't.
he
No,
haven't.
no, no. I think I haven't. No.
Okay. Okay. So could you invite us in Spanish to your concert?
Okay. Now that will be the difficult moment. Hola, soy Isabelle Faust, toco el violín y estaré en el segundo Festival Internacional de Música de Bogotá. Bogotá es Mozart. Los espero en esta gran fiesta musical y recuerden que en Bogotá todos somos Mozart.